So today, what happened with the Susan Rice affair is going to be the dam that basically breaks everything in the liberal um, speak culture right now. The liberal ISO culture, where they believe that, oh, we can define the truth, and if you disagree with us, you can fuck off. Um, what happened is that over the weekend, a lot of liberals were getting into this complacent mood where they thought because Donald Trump had lost on the healthcare bill, or that he had already lost on the Russia investigation because of a request, not a granting of immunity to retired General Michael Flynn. They thought that they were finally watching the unraveling of this presidency. And even there was one person that I speak to on a regular basis, this guy who blocked me on Facebook, but he still talks to me in real life, who said to me, he says, you don't really believe that what Trump said about being wiretapped is true. I said, of course, I believe everything that the Democrats are denying is true now, because everything that they claim never happens just seems to happen. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. They've been lying about things since before Donald Trump was president. As I've already reminded people today, on the only post I put today that was, I typed anything on for Bold Like a Leopard. Obamacare is still a fucking failure because all of the promises that the Democrats made about it were lies. All of them were lies. So everything that comes after that, every other goalpost that you're trying to move it to, is just a bunch of subjective semantic crap. So of course I'm going to believe what he said, because it's the opposite of what the Democrats have said. It has nothing to do with the fact that Donald Trump has said it. In fact, it's actually, the Democrats are actually bumping up his credibility with everything they do. And what has happened here is that they've repeatedly gone and made this absurd leap of faith that Donald Trump is a liar and that he has no clue what he's talking about. You have to remember that now he has access to a lot more information than you do, at least straight up. It might be that you're getting leaked this information, but he has direct access to a lot of this information. It's the same thing that happened with his tax returns. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it was a plant by his campaign and or by his henchmen, that Trump's henchmen planted that tax return in the mailbox of what's his name, Dave K. Johnston, whatever his name was, that fat ass that's on the shadow government or shadow cabinet, whatever the fuck they call themselves." They said, "Oh, he planted it. He was trying to get it doesn't even matter. If he did do that, it was a genius move." And the fact that Democrats are always trying to make it seem as if they are one step ahead, when every time they appear to be completely out of their depth and way behind on what's going on, that just bumps up President Trump's ability to look just smarter than them. It doesn't even matter if he looks incompetent in general, because they look even worse. It's all relative. And what am I talking about with the Susan Rice issue? For weeks, the Democrats have crabbed and they've bitched like a bunch of idiots about how it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, this concept that Donald Trump could have been wiretapped. Then, when it was revealed that it was very likely that there was surveillance over him, they started becoming literalists. It's funny that when it comes to the law, or when it comes to anything that has to do with economics, they're not literalists in any sense. They're in fact fantasists. Everything they do is fantasy. This whole crap about 56 genders is fucking fantasy. And this shit about how they can claim that the climate change debate is over. Who are they to say? Okay, science never says that all the facts have been found. Okay, it might be that some of these scientists, it's their opinion that it's already conclusive, etc., but I digress. the Democrats are always believing that they have more information when they haven't even read the information. And now we're seeing what's revealed in this story. You know, and it doesn't give me, you know, I don't have any dog in this fight as far as the Republicans or the Democrats, but I certainly support President Trump as opposed to the Democrats, because I do believe that when it comes to who has the better plan for how to manage anything that has to do with running America, for all of his flaws and idiocy, Donald Trump is still better than the Democratic Party. People still laugh at me about it, but if it wasn't for the Democratic Party, there wouldn't be a President Trump. You understand? If they were so good at running the country, how is he president? Okay, I didn't want him as I wanted Rand Paul as president. I don't have to say, I don't say it every day like the Bernie Sanders morons do. Okay, and when I say Bernie Sanders morons, I don't mean like the smart ones. Okay, I don't mean H.A. Goodman, who's probably one of the better journalists out there right now. I'm talking about the ones who only say Bernie's name whenever they can't actually make an argument on their own merit. So let's go through this story. This is by Eli Lake from Bloomberg Business. Okay, this isn't Breitbart. This is not, you know, this isn't the Huffington Post, you know, for by contrast. This isn't the Intercept. This isn't Zero Hedge. This isn't the Federalist. It's none of those partisan groups. It's Breitbart. It's Bloomberg. Bloomberg Business. It says here, White House lawyers last month learned that the former National Security Advisor Susan Rice requested the identities of U.S. persons in raw intelligence reports on dozens of occasions that connect to the Donald Trump transition and campaign, according to U.S. officials familiar with the matter. The pattern of Rice requests was discovered in a National Security Council review of the government's policy on unmasking the identities of individuals in the U.S. who are not targets of electronic eavesdropping, but whose communications are collected incidentally. Normally, those names are redacted from summaries of monitored conversations and appear in reports as something like U.S. Person 1. The National Security Council's Senior Director of Intelligence, Ezra Cohen Watnick, was conducting the review, according to two U.S. officials who spoke. This was actually speculated of in one of the Israeli papers, which to me is kind of annoying because I hate it when the Israelis always seem to know before other people. Is it, you know, if you do, maybe you shouldn't tell people. Okay, that's a dumb idea because people already think you run the country. Retards. There was speculation that a high-ranking official in the White House that was Jewish had informed Congressman Nunes of this. In February, Cohen Watnick discovered Rice's multiple requests to unmask U.S. persons in intelligence reports that related to Trump transition activities. He brought this to the attention of the White House General Counsel's office, who reviewed more of Rice's requests and instructed him to end his own research into the unmasking policy. So the intelligence reports were summaries of monitored conversations, primarily between foreign officials discussing the Trump transition, but also in some cases direct contact between members of the Trump team and monitored foreign officials. One U.S. official familiar with the reports said they contained valuable political information on the Trump transition, such as whom the Trump team was meeting, the views of Trump associates on foreign policy matters, and plans for the incoming administration. Then it says that he went and tried to email her and there's no response. Wonder why. But the House and Senate Intelligence Committees are probing any ties between Trump associates and the Russian influence operation against Hillary Clinton during the election. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Representative Devin Nunes, is also investigating how the Obama White House kept tabs on the Trump transition after the election through unmasking the names of Trump associates incidentally collected in government eavesdropping of foreign officials. Rice herself has not spoken directly on the issue of unmasking. Last month, when she was asked on the PBS NewsHour about reports that Trump transition officials, including Trump himself, were swept up in incidental intelligence collection, Rice said, "I know nothing about this," adding, "I was surprised to see reports from Chairman Nunes on that account today." So This is Bloomberg reporting that she lied on PBS, so she lied on public television while it's still around. She could have waited a few months and it would have fallen apart, according to the Democrats at least. This is hilarious. This is probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. And what this means, the implications of what they're probably going to call this Ricegate. What I really think this should be called is Rice Paddy, because they're sinking deeper and deeper into this fucking mess, like in Vietnam, where the Democrats are always trying to claim, oh, we have this information, but they don't have the information. They don't have anything better. There's nothing there. And if there was something there, then why didn't the Obama administration act on it while they were still in power? Why didn't they, they could have found probable cause to disqualify Donald Trump as a candidate or something. I mean, we'd have to go through the legal permutations of that. But the bottom line here is that we have an administration, the past administration. This administration is not great either. There's certain things I don't like about it either. I think that they're treating the whole healthcare issue like a bunch of amateurs, but we could see yet a victory on that. What they did with this unmasking, the Obama administration, has to be one of the greatest exhibits of federal government incompetence and abuse that we've ever seen ever. It's not even a question. This is worse than Richard Nixon, because this is somebody. First of all, with Richard Nixon, the media was not for Nixon. The media wasn't always trying to say, oh, it's preposterous that Watergate happened. It's unbelievable. The Washington Post never went into this assuming Nixon was innocent and basically challenging everybody to prove that he committed the burglary. Nobody ever gave Nixon the benefit of the doubt. In this case, it's basically a situation where the media has to be dragged kicking and screaming to the story in order to even report on it. And finally, we're seeing it. I think that at some point, they are going to have to pay up. They're going to have to pay the piper on this, because to ignore one of the worst instances of executive abuse of power in the history of this country would pretty much end their audience. People would stop watching CNN. If people started believing that CNN was covering up one of the worst political scandals in history, in the history of probably not just this country, but of most countries. I mean, there's countries where this is like everyday life, so it doesn't. Something like this wouldn't even be a story, like Zimbabwe, like Cuba, things like this. They take it for granted that the government surveys you. They take it for granted. Okay, there is no reason that the Obama administration, after it had bugged the offices and the email accounts of Angela Merkel and other friendly foreign leaders, there's no reason why they wouldn't do it to private citizens in the United States, including Trump allies and Trump himself, perhaps. And the deeper they sink into this, instead of coming forward, the Obama people for sure are not going to come forward. Instead of cooperating with that aspect, the Democrats are still focusing on the Russia investigation that is so far yielding nothing. How far have they gotten? They have Michael Flynn requesting immunity and not getting it. What that means is that the government does not think that he has sufficiently incriminating evidence on anybody higher than him to warrant granting him immunity. Apparently, they might think that he himself should be prosecuted for something. That wouldn't be a victory for Trump critics. It would be a defeat, because it would virtually mean that Trump was right to fire him, first of all, that he did deceive Vice President Pence, as they claim, and I still find that reasoning was kind of bizarre, and that's the difference between Democrats and people who are not Democrats. I'm not a Republican. I'm not going to be a Republican, but we are able to look at this and criticize the Flynn side. We can criticize the Trump side. We can call them incompetent. We can call them idiots. We can call them crooked too. There's certain aspects. When he nominated Rex Tillerson, I said that that's a move where he's caving to the oil lobby, and I'm not going to support him on it. That's the difference between us, the people who reject the Democrat think control strategy, the Democrat thought project, and those of us that support it, which is not me. Anyway, so give me your thoughts on the Susan Rice issue. There's a lot of people commenting on it now, but I want to hear about your angle. Do you think she's ever going to face any penalties from it? I don't know if they're ever going to be able to prosecute her on this. There's certain things that will never be revealed to the public because of national security issues and executive privilege, but we'll see what happens. This is Ramon with Bold Like a Leopard, and we'll see you around the bend.